Hey guys, Bryson here, and welcome to this video. And as you can see, this video is very long because it turned into almost a whole movie. However, though, it is worth it because in this video, you go into so much detail as far as a creator, what to spend money on, and everything else. So I hope you guys watch this video till the very end. And if you do, comment down below and tell me, hey, Tommy, I made it all the way to the end. Comment down below, let me know. By the way, this video is about Roberto Blake, a creator, someone that actually helped me learn about YouTube and how he makes 25K per month off of 17 streams of income and how he spends his money. This video is amazing. It is awesome. Watch it, watch it, watch it. Comment down below. Let me know exactly if you made it all the way to the end. On top of that, also like this video, subscribe to the channel, and also let's get started. Hey guys, Bryson here, welcome to my show. And by the way, for the first 2 minutes of this video, I've been trying to say a word, desensitized, but I can't say. So basically, lately guys, we have seen so many people making a lot of money to the point where a lot of money doesn't seem like a lot of money anymore. You say, I make 10,000, just 10,000. I heard this guy makes $1 million per month, right? However though, it is still a lot of money. And today I want to take a look at somebody. His name is Roberto Blake, and he makes around $25,000 online, and let's see exactly how he actually does it. And by the way, I've learned a lot from this guy. For example, YouTube algorithm, and all that stuff, okay? Basically, the basic stuff on YouTube, I would go over there and see exactly how he did it because he's been around for a very long time though. If you guys are new here, like this video. On top of that, also subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified. It's how you help the channel, so I appreciate it a ton because, by the way, this channel makes $0. However, I do have a lot of fun here. Without further ado though, let's find out exactly what's going on and how this guy makes $25,000 per month, which is a lot of money.
A lot of people talk about making money online. It's something I do quite a bit on this channel since we talk about.
Hey, look at Roberto Blake. Yo, Roberto, what is going on here in this studio? Just for fun here, just for comments here, right? It's a great studio. Things look great, awesome. But why does he have like 5 pair of headphones? It's crazy. Look at this. 1 headphone, 2 headphone, 3 headphone, 4 headphone, 5 pairs. And I better not see another one like just like dragging somewhere. That's crazy. That's a lot of headphones.
The creator economy, how to be a full-time content creator and start your own small business. But what a lot of people don't do is they don't break down how they're spending their money and how.
That is a fact. You know, everyone talks about, hey, guess what, guys? I make X amount of money, but no one really talks about, here's how I actually spend this money. You know, I do. You know, I tell you all the time what I put my money into and all this stuff, but the average person doesn't. It's just like this figure, I make X, but they don't tell you, hey, my house cost me like X plus 1. Right? So you never really know what these
they're investing in long term and what the actual cost of doing business is for them. Sometimes you do have to spend money to make money.
That's a fact. You know what I mean? If you hear somebody says like I gross $25,000 is different from saying, hey, I net $25,000, because net means after all the expenses, usually except taxes though, you get to make that money. So if you make $100, but then you have to spend $50 to make that $100, the answer is you didn't make $100. You made $50 net basically.
Especially if you like nice camera gear. So today I'm going to be breaking down how
I love nice camera gear.
I spend my $25,000 a month income. I'm going to be talking to you about the profit first business model and also
profit first. That is, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Look at this. Profit first. That is this book right here. That's from that's from Mike McCallowicks. I did a whole giveaway on my channel about this guy, man. This guy is amazing. This guy is awesome. And the whole idea is basically when you're thinking about a business, you think about profit first. It's not about like, oh my gosh, this business is my baby. No. That business is your cow and you gotta milk it, okay? You gotta make money. I love this book, Profit First, you know? It's a lot like my whole system of Simple Budget where you have like different pots for everything. That way you don't mix it up. Wow, I just became even a bigger fan of Roberto here. Okay, let's keep watching.
A little bit about taxes and retirement. None of this is financial advice, but I do feel that if
Disclaimer.
people were more transparent about money and it wasn't this big, shameful taboo where everyone didn't assume you're bragging about it.
I love where we live in today, man. Nobody cares, you know. People understand that you're just trying to share and help. I remember back in the days it was different. You know, you heard somebody making so much money, you're like, ah, they're bragging or whatever. But now it's like people, it's different, right? If you heard somebody back then telling you how they make this money, it's not bragging. right? It's never been that, but there is a taboo talking about here's how much money I make or whatever.
Then we could just have more honest conversations, and it would help a lot of people become more financially literate and just,
You know what would be cool? If when you walk into an office, there was like a post-it that shows you everybody's in their income and also like a why they make this much money. Like that would be cool because that way you have like salary transparency, which we don't have in offices. And I don't really know if it's be a good thing or a bad thing. I don't really know, but I know it's not a good thing to have you do the same job as Bill, but you do a better job and you get paid less than Bill because basically Bill asked for a raise and you didn't.
better at managing their money. This is also not an income that I just magically earned overnight. I'm not a viral YouTube content creator. This is something that took me a lot of years.
Same here. I am not. This is actually I never put it like this, you know. I never put it like this. Wow, this is a great way to put it, Roberto. That's true. You know, I'm not a viral YouTube creator. What I am is a YouTube creator. I make content, I help people, but the videos don't really go viral like that. You know, that's not what you actually do. It's not like an overnight sensation thing. It's more like a slow burn. Slow burns usually last a long time.
Years of hard work, basically a decade of discipline. I'm 37 years old.
That's crazy, man. This guy does not look 37. I've been watching this guy, no joke here, since I was around 19 years old. I'm 24. So that means like, that's like what, 5 years now? I've been watching him when I was doing daily vlogs. You guys don't know about that, right? But I was doing daily vlogs back then and I was learning about YouTube. And then my favorite creator, Casey Neistat, spoke about him. And I was like, let me check out this guy. Who's this guy? You know what I'm saying? He looks like me, but what is it about? What is it about? You know what I'm saying? He's awesome. He's awesome.
In reality, I've actually been playing
real reality. I like
catch up for a number of years because in my 20s, I was very low income and in a lot of debt due to my family just having a lot of medical bills.
Oh, that sucks, man. That sucks. I kind of experienced like the same thing where my family, like in a third world country, like they have just like healthcare over there. It just sucks, you know? And like the insurances, I don't understand. I think I get the insurance they actually have, right? Because the thing is, they have like a high deductible insurance. So basically when they do get sick, they have to pay a lot of money out of pocket, but they can't afford the premiums per month. So that's why they can't. It's a strange, I want to create an insurance company.
Being in, you know, a single parent home, there's just a lot of things that.
Same here, single parent home.
Ultimately, I feel where maybe I was disadvantaged for a very long time.
I never felt that way. I never felt, one thing I never wanted to do was make myself a victim of anything because it doesn't empower you. That victim mentality never empowers you. So whether I was a single mom for a while or I had a stepdad or whatever it is, I really didn't care. Whatever anybody else out there can do, I can do also. That's always something that brought strength to me. I never wanted to be like, oh, I have a single mom. Billy over here has 2 parents. They buy him stuff. Like, and I've been to homes with my friends. That was the whole case. Bigger house, maybe nicer family in that sense, like, you know, more stable. And it's not always what it seems, you know. It's not always what it seems. I'm happy where I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
And then I've spent my 30s hustling hard and kind of putting myself in the place that I feel I'm supposed to be. Now, there's a couple of things you need to know going into this. One of the things I'm going to teach you about is something called profit first. And I'm going to break that down for you because then my expenses will make sense to you. So with profit first, I am paying myself first. Every time that I make money, I take 10% of that and that goes into my savings account.
That's awesome.
There are 4 main bank accounts that I have, and that's actually something really important in this video that I haven't seen in all these, you know, how much money do I spend videos.
Nobody makes this stuff, man, because you gotta understand, Roberto, when you're at this level, even like just thinking like this, you're just above a whole, because anybody can make money from a business, right? Whether it's like an ice cream store or whatever it is. But then when you start to kind of like say like, hey, here's how I'm going to manage this money.
It's down to the bank accounts. So I have a savings account and I pay myself 10% of all income there first. That way I know that, you know, after all of my hard work that I have something that is there.
So $2,500 automatically goes into a savings account.
To show for it. It also is a good way to build an emergency fund. Next, I take.
Depends. I mean, the steps say debt-free, then emergency account, right? Once you have enough money for an emergency account, you put that in a separate account, that's it. But some people are obsessed with like having like these 12 months, 24-month emergency accounts.
15% of all of the money that ever comes in, and I put it into an account that's just for my taxes.
Awesome.
This means that I know that I have the money to make those quarterly tax payments. If you're making the quarterly tax payments on your business.
I do annual tax payments. I don't do quarterly tax payments at all. But my system is kind of like very similar because actually it kind of is, but kind of not really, right? Because the thing is that YouTube, thankfully, was never my main source of income. So whatever the money that I got from YouTube, like 95% of it was just saved. And whenever I bought something for YouTube, it was usually like I just spent like $300 like yesterday on getting, for example, like a tree for the studio and like some extra equipment to make like the content more like better or whatever. But it's always like expenses to make the content better. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's always like a small amount of money comparative to how much it makes. So that's the whole idea. But I'm never like I'm using this money or have high expenses. It's just different.
If you're a small business owner, then that means that you can avoid, interest and any penalties by just waiting longer than necessary. And so you can do that any way you want. Some people pay quarterly, some people pay yearly.
Yeah, exactly.
Either of those is fine. Just talk to an accountant. I have booked.
Quarterly is better though. If you have problems, for example, managing money, it's a lot better. Because when I first started out, like learning about money, I did everything on a weekly basis because I was so bad at it. So I needed to have everything done on a weekly basis because basically it didn't give me a chance to mess things up. So it makes a lot of sense. So by the way, by the end of the year, I just have a bunch of money, right? Because I don't spend it. And then I just grab some of that money to pay taxes, and that's about it. But everything is automated though. Like my investments are automated. And right now, like I'm just in the mood of just like saving money up for buying a home and so on when the time comes.
Keepers and accountants, that's part of the expenses we'll get to. But I set up this account just for my taxes. So then we have my cost of living. I put 35% of my money into this.
35% of your cost of living. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. Give me a second, guys. Here, I just had an idea for the channel. I'm gonna get an Elgato thing. That's for the live streams we're gonna do on the third channel. Ask me Bryson soon. But 35%. When you think about this, right, it might not sound like a lot relative to maybe how much money you make and so on, but it is a lot. And here's why, right? Because you have $25,000 multiplied by 0.35. That's $8,750 per month, if I'm not mistaken here, unless something is wrong here. It is a lot of money. So this is way too much money, at least in my case. I just can't see myself even spending that much money. In my case, I spend $725 on rent, maybe like $400 on utilities, sometimes, not even. And then, for example, groceries, like maybe like $250, I'll be honest. And then, for example, like transportation, I don't spend, gas is like $20, $40 per month. So it's more like $1,415, and that is about it, really. So if I make even like just $10,000 per month, it's like around 14%. If I make $25,000 per month, it's like maybe less than 10%, less than 7%.
Most of the time. And this is something that just helps me put all of my bills on auto pay and do anything I need to on a regular basis.
But this is personal expenses? Or is it like also like including business expenses? That's a lot of money, Roberto.
This is actually separate from my business bank account because for tax reasons, you want to make sure that you're
everything has to be separate.
Separating your personal finances from your business finances. This is something that a lot of people who are new to making money online, where they do videos on YouTube, they don't talk about, and a lot of them don't understand it, but this is actually really important. So you want that clear separation. It's what's called the corporate veil. You want to separate your personal finances.
Yeah, just have like a business account for all the business stuff, and then you have your personal account. And tell me, how do I get money from that account to the other account? You just send it over. It's called it's not an owner contribution, it's a distribution. So you distribute money from the business over to your personal account. You just write that down. That's why they do, for example, reconciliations, and they do journal entries and everything to make sure everything's solid. But again, you can do this yourself or just get a CPA.
From your business finances, you don't want to
or QuickBooks
commingle those. And then when it comes to my business expenses, I'm spending 40% of my income back into my business.
Damn, that's crazy. So 40% goes into the business to make more money. 35% goes towards your personal expenses. Right off the bat, you got 75% gone. And then you have 10% going, for example, for your savings, and then 15% for taxes. That's a lot of money, man.
Believe it or not, once upon a time, it used to be a lot more of a percentage of my income that I was spending back into my business to grow it, to scale it. You don't need as much money to start a small business or start a YouTube channel or start doing something creative.
I think the most powerful thing that I found out and figured out is basically to what extent do I want this business to actually grow? You know, like you want to make it like into a massive thing, but it's all about putting the dollars where they actually matter.
These days, it's actually really reasonable to do. Most people can do it with the beginnings of a smartphone, but to make better quality stuff over time, you end up having to invest in things like camera gear, microphones, and good lighting, a faster laptop to edit on. Those things are very real.
That's stupid. I'll tell you why that's stupid, right? The camera stuff is fine, but even Roberto knows it, right? The camera is just like one part of creation, right? What matters most is the story that you're actually telling. He knows that. But on top of that, but it is important to have, for example, like a nice camera. I have a nice camera. I have nice quality. These things matter also. Quality also matters. I have nice microphones also. But when it comes to, for example, faster laptop for editing, you have to understand the art of delegation and also the art of the 80-20 rule, which basically means, hey, Roberto, if you're making $25,000 per month, then what is 1 hour of your time actually worth? In this case, let's just say, for example, he has an average work day, which, by the way, most likely he doesn't, right? Because he's also a creator, he's his own boss and everything else like that. But if you have $20,000 that you actually make, right? Divide it, for example, you have 40/40, that's 80, plus 80, that's 160. 160 hours a month of working, right? So that's divided by that. You get around $156 per hour that this guy can actually get paid. Now you tell me one editor that can make this much money per hour. None, right? Very few, unless you're doing, for example, like unless you're editing like The Adventures. My point is, right, if you're making content, don't go ahead and buy, for example, like a $2,000-$3,000 laptop or $5K laptop or $10K laptop, whatever you want to buy, right? Just don't do it. Just hire an editor. And that person, you can pay them, for example, $25, $35, $45, $50 per hour, depending on the editor and so on. And then basically you can save all that money, also save all that time. Have that person with the expensive system edit all the stuff for you. That was my mistake initially. I spent so much money. And by the way, my editor, Danny, just hit me up. And Danny, by the way, edits these videos right here. Shout out to Danny. But that's the whole thing. You know, you got to do things step by step. Be smart about delegation. There's only one Roberto, and eventually you got to be able to delegate. Delegate.
When you're building your business or you're trying to become a full-time content creator. So I put 40% back into the business. And in my case, one of the things that made my life better was hiring people. Hiring people part-time and remotely to help me.
1099 them. You don't want to hire people. Sometimes you do. Like, for example, like a full-time somebody. But there's a difference between, for example, like a W-2 job, guys, and a 1099 job. 1099 basically means you're a contractor, so I don't got to worry about your expenses as far as, for example, like, hey, medical, insurance, all that stuff. But when you hire somebody W-2, that's completely different. I got to pay your health care and all this extra stuff. It's just different.
And also hiring my family to be able to help me within my business.
Oh, I see. So he's also helping family.
Hired both of my sisters. They helped me part-time with the business. And it's been a massive upgrade in my personal life and in my mental health. So
it frees up so much time.
Let's get down to some of my actual spending. I live in the state of Georgia, so your mileage may vary on this one.
6% Georgia state tax. I mean, tax rate. Full monthly
But
income
when it
breakdown.
comes to rent, I rent a house. My younger siblings are my housemates, and I charge them $0.
Okay, I'm seeing where the money is being escaped. And by the way, I don't know the full story here, but sometimes, right, I have brothers also, for example, like in a third world country. And if I were to be like a different type of person, I would have no money, because everyone always has a problem. And no offense here, right? But I'm being honest here. When you're first building something, you have to be careful, because if everybody's trying to take the fruits of your labor way too quickly before they actually grow, then you can be left with nothing. So what that means is basically that sometimes you have family that, you know, they want to take something, but maybe it's not the time, you know? And I'm not saying this is the case here, but I want to hear more of this story.
In rent, and I pay $25.50 in rent every single month.
That's stupid. That's crazy, bro. That is crazy. That's crazy, right? Am I crazy? That's crazy. I mean, $25,000 makes you somewhere like around like a quarter to almost $300K per year, right? And Roberto's like 37 years old, right? 37, 34. I'm not sure. If you're debt free, have a full blown emergency account, it's time to consider just, for example, buying your own crib, man, and potentially can pay cash for a house in Georgia. They're not that expensive when the time comes. But again, it's this. I just don't have enough information here, but I don't like this so far.
This might sound extravagant, but giving the needs of our setup and just giving everybody their space, it works out. And so I could save a lot of money if I charge them rent, but I want to give them every advantage and opportunity to build themselves up as young people.
Sometimes the best way to help somebody is to give their life some adversity. Honestly, you know, sometimes we have people that we love and we care about, and we want them to have like everything that we didn't have, or like not have the pains that we had, but the pains that you had and the adversity you had made you who you are. Roberto, remember that.
So $0 rent. I pay the whole $25.50. This might change since I'm actually looking at investing in real estate and being a first-time homeowner. So when
by the way, notice Roberto is 37 years old and now he's finally talking about buying a property. This is what I mean, man. You got 19 years old and 18 years old talking about buying a property. Just relax, man. Settle down for a second. Be patient.
I decide to go into a mortgage, I'm going to look for something that is comparable to what I'm paying now.
That's stupid, man. No, don't do that, bro. Don't do it, man. Because the thing is, right, you got to imagine this, right? Imagine paying for a property that's costing you $25.50. This whole income, when it comes to YouTube and building a business, we all know that it varies. So if this thing varies and you just have crazy expenses, you have to pay this thing for like 30 years. The goal is to pay this thing off as fast as possible, right? That's why, you know, when I buy my first property, quote me on this, the property will not be more than $300,000. And that property would be paid off in less than 15 years, most likely less than 5 years. That's why I'm saving up so much money. Potentially I might buy my first house for cash and just call it a day. Once you have that taken care of, you can do whatever you want. You know, $25.50 is a stupid amount of money, man. It's ridiculous. And the mortgages you get on that, bro, I'm gonna have some fun here, man. Let me go over to Google because I wanna look up this stuff because I want you guys to understand how expensive this actually is. This is no joke, you know. And if I can help somebody, I'll help them. But check this out, right? Can I do this or can I not do this? How does this stuff work? Let me see. Okay, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. You guys see this? This is my whole screen right here. You guys can see it. Look at this, right? Let's just imagine, for example, you're gonna get a home, 30-year mortgage, and your budget is $22.50. $22.50, right? That is a $621,000 home on a 30-year mortgage with a $124,000 20% down payment. That is a stupid, ridiculous amount of money. It's an insane amount of money. The average millionaire buys a home that's no more usually than between $200,000 to $300,000. This math is not mine. Read, for example, The Millionaire Next Door. Stop being, is it called Stop Being Broke? Stop Acting Broke. Stop Acting Rich. That's the book. Stop Acting Rich, by the same guy that wrote the other book. But that's the idea, man. But imagine, for example, if you were to buy a home that's only, for example, $300,000, right? Now, for example, instead of getting, for example, a 15-year mortgage, a 30-year, you get a 15-year mortgage. That's $19.16. You put down 20%. And on top of that, since you have extra money to actually burn, just pay an extra $1,000 per month, right? Towards this whole mortgage. And guess what happens now? Well, now you're done with this property, for example, by 2030. So that means in 9 years, you're done with this property instead of, for example, in 30 years. Be careful with this game, man. This game is no joke. This game stuff, man, it's no joke. It can cost you a lot of money. Things get very ugly very fast, man. I don't like it.
But I will actually start to get equity and build up net worth for the future instead of that going to somebody else and making them rich for my.
What I would do, just to clarify here, right? If I'm making $25,000, first thing is, most likely, quote me on this, but I'm not sure here. The reason he spends so much money, 40% on his business expenses, is basically most likely he's hiring family, right? Honestly, an editor, what he does here is great, right? I think he has like his own business and he helps people, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And he does like YouTube content, but the expenses in this business shouldn't be more than 20 to 25%. Honestly, sometimes, guys, to be honest here, sometimes it's less than 10%. The other stuff is usually where the money is going to, like, for example, the family portion. The rent is insane. The upkeep for his expenses are insane. So if you can lower all this stuff to a maximum of at least like 35% total, business expenses and, for example, your personal expenses, is just a lot better. That frees up 10 to 20% of your money, not for savings, but for investing into your 401k. If you have a business, Roberto, you know, you're also going to have, for example, like an individual 401k, a self-directed one, just manage that completely. Also max out your Roth IRA, 10 to 20% of your income. The rest you can put it towards your saving for buying a property. The property buy the right way. Do not buy almost $1 million property. It just makes no sense. So when you buy a property, have in mind your end goal. Your family is great, all this stuff is cool, right? But you're the one that's gonna get married eventually. You're the one that's gonna have kids eventually. Your family's not gonna live with you eventually. And they're gonna pay your bills also. Be careful with this stuff, man.
Car note, I have a 2018 Nissan Sentra. As of the making this video, I'm actually probably getting ready to go into a new car note and
oh my God, this is not good.
Trade in my car, which I currently, again, pay $0 a month on since it's paid off. And I'm gonna get a 2021. And the reason I'm gonna get a 2021 Nissan Sentra is
don't tell me taxes. Please don't say taxes.
Because I will now be in a new warranty. The warranty on my current car, it's pretty much expired.
Stop believing this trash. This warranty stuff, man. And it's kind of, you know, you ever went to Best Buy, Roberto, and you went there and they're like, oh, you know, we got you want to add a warranty to your controller or to whatever. Comes with a 2-year warranty, but we'll add, for example, an extra 5-year warranty if you pay extra or whatever. Like, this stuff is like, okay, you have a car, you take care of it, It's only like a 2018, I think, right? He said 2018. That car can last you for 10 to 15 years. The most beautiful thing right now is that you don't have a car payment. That is awesome. Do not add more expenses to yourself.
So I'll be safer and
That's not true. That's all BS. Okay, this whole thing about I'll be safer, the thing, bro. If your car is not from the 1990s or the 1980s or whatever, those cars would get into an accident. They'll be fine, but you'll be dead. But the cars today, whenever you get into an accident, they just crush because they're that safe. You have the just keep up with it, man. Maintenance. Avoid raising your. I drive a 2014 Toyota Prius. Okay. I haven't said it yet, but I just had to say it here for this video. A 2014 Toyota, because I wanted to make a video on it, but I don't care. 2014 Toyota Prius. I paid $9,000 for it cash. I have no car payment. I'm going to get insurance now, but Puerto Rico is just different. The car already has insurance, by the way, but I'm going to get an extra layer of insurance. But that's about it, man. It's safe. It runs great. It's good. It saves me a lot of money. Why go ahead and get into this car note? Makes no sense.
We'll have less to worry about if I'm just in a new car. Even though it means paying a car note, I'll be in a 2021 and it'll be a lot safer.
It's not true. Next year there'll be a 2022 that's safer. Next year will be a 2023 that's safer. It's all BS. Don't believe this.
Starting with 0 mileage and probably get an extended 5-year warranty.
Forget about this warranty trash.
My other car is also paid off. It's a 2016 Nissan.
Yes, 2 cars?
I've given that to my brother. And
you see, guys, what I'm saying so far?
That's going to be his car. And again, also $0 on that. It does mean that I pay more in car insurance, though, because of having more than one vehicle and having a younger, inexperienced driver drives up your insurance cost.
So he has his whole family on the whole insurance thing. Man, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I'm gonna be honest here. I'm gonna be real as hell, man. You gotta. I don't know the full story here, so forgive me if I'm wrong. But if you have these 2 young adults living with you and you're paying them money, it's like and they're doing the job or whatever. Great, whatever. Okay, cool. But you're also paying their bills. That's a problem. And if you say, well, that's a part of the business expense, that's still a problem, bro. Do not create adults that are not self-efficient. That's not good.
So any of the parents out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So again, just keep that in mind. Also, my lifestyle and costs are going to be probably different than yours. I'm 37 years old. I didn't really make a lot of money in my 20s, so I've spent my 30s hustling.
Imagine just putting your head down and eating noodles for 2 years with this income. You'll have almost $500,000. You have a paid off house, have no debt, nothing to worry about whatsoever. But you're adding all these expenses, bro.
To kind of get where I feel I'm supposed to be by now in life and set up for the future and for when I have a family of my own. So just kind of keep some of this in mind. Take it with a grain of salt. This is not something you have to feel like you have to be hitting these numbers or living this lifestyle.
You don't need any of this money. You can do a great life with just like $4,000 per month. That's usually like my sweet spot. Like, I love that number because it gives you just enough money to do everything you need to do. $4,000, $3,000. It just depends on basically what your expenses actually are.
It's not the real point of this video, but it does give you some lessons and insights into managing and spending money as you make it, which is something people don't teach you because I don't think enough people really understand it themselves. And so this is not financial advice, but maybe it'll help you. I don't really drive a lot aside from to go to.
Look at that, guys. I don't drive a lot either. You know, I'll give you guys a little perspective here. I was gonna buy a Lamborghini Urus. You know, I put it on my wall and everything. Then I brought it down to a Tesla Model S. Then I took it off, my Tesla Model X, whatever you want to call it. And then I put the Toyota Corolla 2017 here, 13K. Then when I came to Puerto Rico, I was like, that car is nice, but I don't really care about it. So I bought a Toyota Prius, you know? I barely drive anyways. It's just point A to point B. This whole 2021 nonsense is trash.
To photo shoots and, you know, just business meetings and stuff.
I think the real reason why he wants to get this 2021 is because basically he has 2 siblings living with him. He's gonna give that car to one of his siblings also, and then he's just gonna buy a car for himself, and he decides to buy a 2021. That's the whole idea.
Stuff like that. So I don't spend a lot in gas when I don't have to. Maybe $160 a month. I put it on a
damn, that's a lot of money on gas.
ExxonMobil gas card, which I pay off the balance of pretty much at the end of every month. I do that for the cashback rewards. I do a lot of cashback rewards. It's free money. So I know Dave.
That's not really free.
Ramsey doesn't like credit cards.
I don't like it either.
He's great on financial advice. I like getting the cash back. So sometimes I'll just use my credit cards, pay down the balance, and be done with it. There's actually,
it's a cycle.
Right now, I have 0 credit card debt. Something I worked very hard at. Maybe I'll talk about something.
Paid off over $20,000 in debt, full monthly income
like
breakdown. You know, paying off debt is great, but when you keep your expenses so high, it's still a problem. That's another thing we gotta fix.
Future as far as business credit, but 0 credit card debt is a big deal. There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of it if you have to carry it for your business or put it on a business credit card.
That's not true either. I have a $28,000 loan that I got for the business, all right? This was during a time period that I won't really talk about. And the idea was that as long as I paid that money out to myself as a salary, everything would be fine and I would only be charged 3.75%. Now, can you guess where that money is at? That money is invested, for example, into my investment account. Now, by the time I'm done investing that money, 30 years later, I'll have somewhere like around, I think the maths was like $200,000. And I would only pay them like around $40,000 in total. So I double what they pay them, but I grow that money to like almost like $250,000. Math, right? But if it's just to like, but I have no other debt with the business, like debt is like, oh, I'm gonna buy this or spend money on this marketing or whatever. I just don't do that nonsense.
Or expense things, travel, but I just try to keep as close to being debt free as possible. Especially knowing that I'm gonna wanna go into a mortgage and become a home buyer. Car insurance on both cars comes out to about $650 a month. That's because when you have young, inexperienced drivers on
oh my gosh,
your insurance,
$600 per month in car insurance, bro. I think people forget when they were making like $1,000 per month on what it's like, man. I remember when I was making $1,200 per month working like crazy. And I was like, $600 on car insurance, you crazy.
Again, parents know what I'm talking about. That cost goes up, so.
This is not your expense, man. This is none of your business. If they're over 18, they can get jobs and pay for their own car insurance. I'm just being real here.
I'm paying about $650 a month in terms of car insurance. Internet is $240 with Xfinity. I have a business package. For all the live streaming that I do, I have to get unlimited. I used to have to pay exuberant fees sometimes if I went over my data cap. I don't feel like data caps should exist. Maybe that'll be a rant at some point, but.
That's crazy, $250 and I thought I was gonna finesse over here. I pay $80 for 200 megabytes download and 25 upload. I know it sucks. But even when I was living in San Juan, which actually has, for example, fiber optic, it was only, for example, I think like $100, and you got like 500 megabytes upload and 500 megabytes download also. That was pretty cool, you know. But this is $250 is a lot.
$240 on the internet across all of the devices. I do have an Apple Watch, I do have an iPad Pro, and I do have, you know, my Android and iPhones. So with that, and then the fact that my siblings are on my phone plan, I pay.
Guys, he's paying for a lot of their stuff, man.
$280 a month for all of our cell phones and my plan.
I pay $130. I have nothing financed because that's also debt, by the way. I have nothing financed. I have myself, Oh, that's two people. Just kidding. I have myself. I have my fiance. I have my sister, and I have my mom. That's 140. That's like almost like around like $30, $40 per person almost. And I find like I'm doing too much. You know what I mean? I might just cut down and then just go all the way single, you know? Just kidding, but you get it, right? It's a big difference.
And so again, if you're in a household, your expenses will probably be significantly higher.
That's different, man. You're in a household with your siblings, not your wife and kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta have these people pay for their stuff. It's your family, understand that. My little sister's 12 years old. She can't pay for nothing. My mom paid for the first 7 years of my phone bill. And my girlfriend, I got her when it was a promotion, stuff like that. So that's just separate or whatever. But you're trying to, I feel like Roberto's really trying to raise these kids. And that's amazing. That's awesome, because I wish I had like a big brother like this, honestly. However, you have to let these people be able to kind of like have their own adversity. He has a book right here. This book right here is by Gary Vee, the one right behind him. It teaches about this stuff. Adversity is very important.
That is completely single and is not responsible for any other human beings. So again, your
if they're over 18, man, you ain't responsible either.
Mileage may
sounds mean, I know, but it's
vary,
true.
And this might be a really good lesson for those of you who might be younger as to what you have to look forward to as you get older and take on more responsibility. Now, insurance, when it comes to things like health insurance,
that's no joke, man. Health insurance is no joke.
Renter's insurance.
I'm happy I live in Puerto Rico though, because I'm about to get health insurance, but it's like the maximum is like $150 or $200. You know what I'm saying? But in the US, bro, $400, $450, $500. Oh my God.
Business insurance, all of that kind of stuff. Like when it comes down to the insurance policies I have to pay, that comes out to about $900 a month.
That's crazy.
This will largely depend on your needs in terms of healthcare, vision, dental, but I encourage people to look at getting things like insurance for any of their property, whether it's homeowners or rental, or especially if you have
that's important.
Gear and equipment, make sure you're getting insurance for that. There are a lot of different options out there, and you could look into things like Policy Genius to get good rates.
I use them
not
too.
A sponsor, at least not yet anyway. And so there's just a lot of different things out there. Try and find a good deal, but also don't try to pinch pennies, because what you want is...
Here's how you save money in health insurance. If you don't get sick that often and you don't have a history, you get a high deductible plan. The reason people pay so much money per month is because those premiums are basically so when they do get sick, they don't pay a lot of money out of pocket. If you get a plan where basically you don't pay that much premiums, when you do get sick, you'll pay some money out of pocket. Maybe like 20% copay or whatever it is. But there's a cap usually. Maybe the cap is $2,000 or $10,000, whatever. It depends largely. But the point is, if you have an expense that might be, for example, like $200,000 and you only have to pay $2,000 out of pocket, it's great, because when you're not getting sick, basically for the most part, that's the hope. The idea is that you save hundreds of dollars per month on the premiums.
To be able to know.
You can also invest money into an HSA.
That is
different video for another day.
Something gets lost, damaged, or stolen that is essential to you or very meaningful to you, that it can be easily.
I have insurance on my camera gear, which I need to cancel because I don't live there anymore, and I have also insurance on the wedding ring I got from my girlfriend.
Place so that you can just move on with your life and not dwell on it too much. In terms of groceries and essentials, again,
I want to hear this. I want to hear this. My rule is $200 per person, usually. But I want to hear this. 3 people live with him, right? Himself and the 2 people.
With a household.
If it's more than $400, it's gonna be crazy. Maybe more than $600 is gonna be crazy. Let's hear it.
It's about $1,100.
I'm sorry, I almost cursed there. That is crazy, bro. That is
every
crazy.
month. Also depends on what your nutrition and health needs are, whether people, are vegan, what they can eat.
Bro, I don't care what you are, bro. Oh my God, bro. I'm about to be mean in this video, man. I don't care, bro. I think Roberto's such an awesome guy, man, and he's trying to help people out, man. But you gotta let people fly. You want to be vegan, you want to be vegetarian, buy your own food, man. You gotta come here and you gotta put in your own like sweat. If I had a business, would I add my family to it? That's a good question, right? Well, one, if they're good at the job, yes. If they're not, I'm not adding them. I don't care who they are. But would I help them? The answer is yes. Obviously, they're my family. But the main point, I wouldn't make it so, because what happens? Okay, let me ask you a question, right, Roberto? What happens if you lose everything tomorrow? Like, what are those kids gonna be able to do? You know what I'm saying? Unless they're like in college trying to get like their own degree to build their own lives, that's very important. But how long is it gonna last for? That's what worries me so much. And by the way, my objections come from a place of I care about you, not from a place like, oh, I'm judging you. That's not what I'm doing here. If it looks like that, I'm sorry.
Eat, whether people have other things like diabetes, you just have to look at eating healthy if you can and eating clean. And I think it's okay to spend more money on this. I know some people like to be very cheap when it comes to this.
I'm not cheap with this stuff, man. I spend $200 to $250 per month. I go to Costco. I buy everything organic, basically. I buy a lot of fish, a lot of chicken, a lot of rice and beans, and I just cook. I meal prep. It's not that expensive. It's expensive when you go out to buy things here and there, and then this over here that you need. That's when it gets expensive. But if you meal prep, you're good.
But you know, when it comes to fitness and health and nutrition, when you try to be cheap, it becomes expensive in healthcare costs. So there's.
But you're paying massive premiums now. It's crazy, man. That's a great logic, but not that great for what's going on with you right now. Because $900 times 12. That's $10,000 a month. Let's say 40 years of Roberto doing this. That's around 430. It's a lot of money, man. You should get a high deductible plan, most likely, potentially. And just like for $1,000, man, I can hire a chef.
That also, if you have pets, you know that those things are added into that.
I'm finna get a dog soon.
Cost. So Tugboat and Rio eat very well and are very healthy too, and so they're kind of
oh, he has 2 dogs, so okay.
Added into that expense. Now, something I do that a lot of people don't is I give myself a personal allowance. This is guilt-free money that I can spend on whatever I want.
This is the fun section of my budget, which doesn't change from 1% until you're done with financial freedom.
And this also helps me balance being frugal without denying myself. So I give myself currently.
With my budget, it would be $250 per month. If you want to make it higher, maybe 5% of $25,000. But the thing is, you can't judge this $25,000 figure. That's not how I do my math. My math is basically, how much do I pay myself? $4,000. Now let me trickle this into my 6 accounts, right? You have emergencies already funded. Investments, 10-20%. For me, it's 20%. You have also, for example, debt. Right now is currently 0%. Now, I already have the money set aside for my student loan debt, like in full, to pay it off. I'll pay it off right now. Then I have, for example, expenses. My current expenses are like something like around like maybe like 20% of what I pay myself in reality, right? That's different. So I can grab that money, pay myself, boom, taken care of. Now, then you have fun, maybe like 1 to 5% max, and then you have charity, which is 10%, which I'm gonna start paying now because I'm doing the whole Christian thing.
A $200 a week allowance. This might
that's $800.
Sound extravagant, but it's really not.
That's $1,000. That's crazy.
It's basically about $800 to $1,000 a month that I can spend guilt-free on whatever I want. So for me, that might be sushi, or it might be
it's expensive. Sushi.
Entertainment.
You gotta start prioritizing, man. You got to.
It might be video games. It might be collectibles. You guys see that I'm a big fan of like video games and anime and nostalgic things.
I love those things.
I also sometimes.
I love manga, which can be a lot of money and also very cluttering. So I got like a Viz manga account for like $2 per month. I read all the manga I want. I like movies, but I'm not gonna buy movies. I just use Netflix. $10, right? There's a lot of ways to do what you want to do. Cheaply.
It's just like, you know, doing little things for myself that cost money. And so giving myself a reasonable allowance like this just means that I don't feel deprived after
that's $12,000, Russ. Crazy amount of money.
All of my hard work. And then finally, overall utilities average, aside from obviously what I said with phone and internet costs, the overall utilities are about $500 to $600 a month,
bro, this is so
which I think is reasonable. You can save money as you convert to more eco-friendly things.
When I buy my house, which is gonna be probably like next year when I get married and all that stuff, if God allows it, I'm gonna add some solar panels on that on the house. You know what I'm saying? Get me that free electricity. It's a crazy. I have to do the math though, because it's like $20,000-$30,000, like to get the whole thing, but then it pays for itself. but does it really? You know what I'm saying? You gotta do the math, make sure it makes sense.
Power saving. It also depends on how well your house is insulated, but you know, you can try and do whatever you want to keep utilities down. I just don't stress over it too much if possible. You know, I'd rather just everybody be comfortable.
I agree on that.
Now, when it comes to that money that goes into, you know, my cost of living, you just have to remember that I include my retirement and my investing in that.
Oh, okay. You missed that part out, huh? Let's hear it.
And so what I'm setting aside in terms of a lot of that currently, which is not what I was doing before, it's close to about $2,500 a month that goes into that. A lot of that is passive. I have things that go directly into my SEP IRA and all.
Oh, he has a SEP.
Also, I have a traditional IRA. I have a Roth IRA, but with me, I have to put it into my traditional IRA and then talk to my accountant about the backdoor stuff. That's all.
It's not that complicated. If you have a SEP, it's fine. You know, the thing is, right? I don't know if he has full-time employees. This is the part, and I don't know if he has like a C Corp or he has an S Corp. Because his business module would be better as an S Corp, and then just hire his family as contractors. That would be the best formula, because you don't need any full-time employees here. So if you have an S corporation, and this can be reformatted, by the way, you hire your people as 1099 them, so they pay for their own insurance and everything like that. Sorry, but you gotta grow up. And then, for example, you can get an individual 401k for yourself with Vanguard. Now you're able to do the maximum match to save you money on taxes. Then you just invest, for example, into the 401k, the match money of the business, and into the Roth 401k, the money that you're actually going to be investing for your personal money. Great, taken care of. Now, when it's time to like exit this money, you can transfer the money from the Roth 401k over to the Roth IRA, no problem, because it's just post-tax money. Then the pre-tax money over at the 401k, you can transfer it over, for example, to the traditional IRA, and then from there you can convert it over to the Roth IRA. It's not that complicated. Don't depend on your accountant for these things that much. You should know what's going on.
More complicated than you need to worry about. The point is, out of the year, I put $6,000 into a more or less traditional IRA account.
Why?
But I have a SEP IRA as a small business owner that allows me to make much larger contributions.
I think it's up to $57,000. But put the money into the Roth, man.
Because I'm both.
By the way, traditional IRAs save you money on taxes today, but they don't save you money on taxes tomorrow when you actually need the money. Like, they'll tax you in the end once you're past 57 years old.
An employee and an employer, so I can make the employer contributions to my retirement, and that's significantly larger. In my case, I invest in those accounts mostly through Merrill. So it's just with my regular bank. It's a traditional bank versus one of the fancy.
Yo, banks suck when it comes to investing. Get rid of that, man. Go get an actual brokerage. Go Vanguard or Fidelity or Schwab's, like people that actually dedicated to that.
The
stuff.
Online options. Nothing wrong with any of those. Another interesting thing I do is I have an ACORNs account for investing to do.
I used to use ACORNs a lot. But ACORN's not that great anymore, at least for me personally. It could be good for you, but they just have too much control. They can switch things whenever they want to. That can cost you taxes, and it's for long term. So why the hell do they do that, right? So I use M1 Finance now. It's whatever I want, doesn't change whatsoever.
Passive investing
can be the same portfolio as ACORNs also, and it can also be automated also, which is great.
Into S&P 500 index funds. The way I set it up is not only does it do roundups whenever I spend money, so basically whenever I buy camera gear, I do anything, or I go grocery shopping, that's
the craziest thing.
Leftover change, if it's like $1.50, the other 50 cents goes into this.
That's a great feature, but it's a gimmick. Let's be honest.
It gets invested for me, but I have the 3x multiplier. So if I, have 50 cents, it actually charges me $1.50 and it invests it for me in the market. So
you have to be intentional about the ish that you're doing. Like this whole gimmicky stuff with the whole thing with the investors, the roundup or whatever. It's not intentional. It's just you spend the money and just you invest in them by magic or whatever. Don't do that stuff, man. Set a budget for your investment goals and you set that and you do that. That's all you got to do.
Every time I spend money, I'm also investing in my future. And also I have a recurring daily withdrawal set up to actually invest for me. One of these goes into an IRA account and the other goes into a regular account. In my case, I'm investing daily $65 a day.
$65 into Acorns. $65 into Acorns times 30. That's almost $2,000. Acorns is great, Roberto. However, you have no control over that portfolio. Well, when I used to use it, disclaimer, that used to be the whole idea. They can change it, switch the assets to whatever they actually want to. So I would just make a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA with M1 Finance, copy and paste the portfolio and basically the percentages you use, for example, in Acorns, and just transfer the money over. This much money is a lot of money. You're talking about almost $24,000 a year you've actually invested in. And why would you do that, for example, in Acorns and not do that, for example, with your retirement accounts? It just makes no sense. You should do that for, well, it's a traditional IRA, right? So it's like, it's not his, this is not good. So what you would want to do is basically do this with your business, man. So if you're able to invest up to $57,000, the idea is if you're making this much money, consider getting an S corporation. So that way you can do a match. The problem is that with your whole setup right now, whatever match you do for yourself, you have to do also for your family if they're actually W-2 employees. But if you make like an S corporation, the idea is you can actually say you can actually do like a dollar for dollar match. So I can say like, hey, if I invest $1,000, my business will also invest, for example, $1,000 on my behalf per month. Does that make sense? So that saves you a ton of money also on taxes, and you're able to maximize everything. So now you go from investing, for example, into Acorns, $24,000, into something you don't understand really, to put it into, for example, things you actually understand, and able to invest up to $57,000 and save a bunch of money in taxes also. That's what I would do. That's what I would do.
To index funds. So I have a very safe, stable, long-term, hedge for the future in terms of investing and retirement. So the main account, if I needed to, I could also tap that as an emergency fund.
That's not true. No, that's not true, man. What is going on here? That's not true. You're separating things, but you're also using them as an alternative. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. You want to keep things separate, completely separate. Have a separate emergency account with 6 months worth. In your case, 6 months is, let's say if you're saying like 25%, 35%, if you're spending like, let's just say like $4,000 per month times 6, you need $24,000 saved up for emergencies. That's it. Leave it alone.
And then obviously the IRA is, well into the future for retirement. In terms of my business expenses, I spend $6,000 a month between my part-time team and my freelancers. I'm not going to get into each individual team member's compensation.
Good idea.
That's their personal information, and you don't really need to know that. I know everyone loves to know what employers are paying their people, but it's really more a matter of whether people want to personally put that out there.
I agree.
And that's how you respect people's boundaries. The overall expenses in my business average now about between $100,000 to $140,000 a year.
Damn, that's crazy.
In overall business expenses. Now, with making a $25,000 a month income.
That's crazy. $25,000 per month times 12, which by the way varies. That's $300,000 minus 140. That's almost like a 50% like expense. Wow, that's a lot of money, man. So that's a lot of expenses.
At least that's what I based it off of from 2020 for what we submitted for my tax filings. With my accountants, I use, for my bookkeeping, I use Bench, and then they recommended me to my personal CPAs. So I have a certified public accountant team that actually handles the back end of these finances.
That shouldn't be more than $1,500 per month, by the way.
For me.
The bookkeeping might be a little more expensive though, because that's different.
So what I'm doing is I am heavily investing back into my business, hiring a team.
I'd rather get an hourly bookkeeper. People be trying to finesse you with them transactions.
Team has been very beneficial to me in terms of getting back my mental health and my personal life. So that's actually really strong for me. And so I don't mind spending on that at all. In terms of the core software and services it actually takes to run my business, something I might break down by itself in another video.
This is, remember this guys, okay? This is the real stuff. What it takes to run this business, like the real core stuff. The other stuff, for example, like the employees and so on. By the way, a lot of the jobs that he probably needs to be done can be done by a virtual assistant for like $3 to $10 per hour. No joke.
Video, because I feel like this part could be a video. It's about roughly $1,500 a month in software and services that are set up on recurring subscriptions.
$1,500, that's a lot of money. I use Adobe, which I might cancel, might not. I use TubeBuddy. I don't spend more than $300 per month on this stuff.
A lot of that is the fact that for my team, I actually pay for each individual team member's Adobe Creative Cloud.
If they're at $10.99, you don't got to do that, bro. It's crazy, right? But it's true. If they're $10.99, they're a contractor, you don't have to pay for those things. They have to pay for their own stuff. They have to have their own equipment.
Software. So I'm paying for a couple of Adobe licenses on top of my own Adobe license. And so as you can imagine, that adds up. There's also all of the stock photo resources we use, Storyblocks, Epidemic Sound, Adobe Stock, a couple of other ones out there. We have some stuff for another channel that we do that we get through music.
Why don't you just get like a bundle? You got a bundle.
Music bed. There's just a lot of built-in expenses. Like I said, I'll probably make another video about it.
But look, right? It's very different. Even at this rate, 1,500 times 12, that's only 18,000. And relative to what he's right now, he's spending like almost like $140,000 a year. It's a lot of money for this business, man. The benefit of having, for example, like an online business is the overcost is so low. It's so high.
And so that's the subscription stuff, $1,500 a month for that. I have a $20,000 a year hardware budget. This is something that is actually very important to me personally because of some of the other things I do besides what you see on YouTube is I do crazy projects like this in terms of...
What is that? What's going on here? I love turtles.
Of the photography side, we're also building out a gear YouTube channel covering photography, audio, lighting, video, hardware, software, all of it. So there are a lot of different projects running in the background.
$20,000 though. Whenever I have an idea, I ask myself, what would I do if I was broke again? And how would I do it? It's really that simple.
In terms of the hardware, the stuff with the podcast coming back, camera gear adds up and is expensive. I've always wanted to have a full and complete photography setup. It's something that's been very important to me and that I'm very passionate about.
I feel like a lot of the times we just make excuses to buy things we don't need, you know? And I can say that because I've done that too. When I bought that desktop that I have for thousands of dollars, it was so stupid. And it was like, I'm very passionate about gaming and I'm very passionate about making my videos faster and all this stuff. It saves me a lot of time. Just hire an editor, right? Oh, I'm very passionate about photography. I'm very passionate about, like, there's always going to be something new. So this is never going to end. It's never going to end.
And if you've seen what I've been doing with my photography, you can tell. So for me, that hardware budget might sound extravagant to most people, unless or until you look at what I'm actually doing with it and why. There's some shots that only things like super telephoto lenses that
those stuff are expensive, bro.
Look like bazookas can actually accomplish. It's also possible that in the future, for a lot of the gear that, I upgrade
$20,000 for camera equipment. Wow.
From, instead of selling it, we might actually just take my gear that I'm not using.
That means, for example, if just, for example, his business costs this much to actually run, right? Divided by 12, that's almost like $11,000 a year. So if his income drops, bro, oh my gosh.
And we might actually rent it out, something we're looking into. There's also travel when there's not an illness ravaging the world. When that's not happening, I travel for public speaking.
I want to get into that, man. Put me on, Roberto.
And not every event pays you for that, or maybe not even always up front. So we have a $10,000 to $20,000 budget for travel. I also like to do some local projects and I'm looking at doing more of that. So again, there could be travel expenses associated with that, just traveling.
And by the way, you can say not every event pays you to talk and all this stuff, but it could be an investment because you're going somewhere, you're talking to people, they go watch your channel, they go buy your stuff also, so that's also potentially. But sometimes if you're not interested in that stuff, because every time you travel, it costs you money, but also costs you time and takes away from you actually doing what you got to do, which is make videos and do all your management stuff. So it all depends. If it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, you cut it out.
Within the South. And then also I love and I'm very passionate about capturing stuff from national parks and more wilderness stuff.
I feel like Roberto has a passion project, right? And passion projects are great, but sometimes your passion doesn't have to be monetized. So it's important to understand that basically we have this idea that Roberto wants to do this stuff, right? As far as like photography, whatever. Great. Do that on the side, but don't try to spend so much money on it. Just like do it for yourself.
I mean, you can tell kind of.
If you can monetize, great. If you can't, by the way, great picture, by the way. I like the turtle one too. But sometimes things just don't get monetized. You know, I love singing, but I can't monetize it.
That I very much am doing the things that I love, and I've learned how to monetize them. And that's kind of what I try to teach people on this YouTube channel.
But remember, right, you're monetized. I don't know the figures here, right? But if it's $20,000 per, I mean, what is it? $20,000 per year that it costs you to run this whole thing. Just make sure it makes sense, you know, because there's a difference between I can buy 1 million lemons and then sell one. It's monetized. But if it's not like paying for itself, always consider profit first again, right?
It's how to monetize things that let them build a creative lifestyle for themselves. Now, with regard to my taxes, it just depends on the year, but if you look at 2020, it's over $40,000 in taxes. So that's something that you...
That's pretty low relative to like how much money he makes. But the reason is basically he has so much expenses. So relative like to my taxes for 2020 were like somewhere like around 85,000 almost, something like that. So this is relatively low compared to that. But Tommy, if you made like around the same amount of money, how is yours so much higher? Because I didn't have that many expenses, but I also got to keep a bunch more of my money to invest and so on. It's just relative. It depends. It's not like when you buy something, like if you spend $1 in your business, you save $1 in taxes. It's not like that's not how it works.
You have to look at, like I said, I have those 4 business accounts, and one of them it's just specifically for taxes. When you set money aside in your retirement accounts, it actually lowers your overall taxable income. You can claim deductions that are necessary for your business in terms of gear, your software, your services, and
I had to talk to myself about this stuff, man, because sometimes you can kind of go a little crazy and just buy a lot of things you don't need.
And the payments you make hiring contractors or people on your team. I love the profit first business model because it means managing this amount of money. You
should have talked to Mike about this, man. Mike would have probably sponsored you. Mike is a cool guy, man. Mike would have sponsored the heck out of this video. He loves people talking about his stuff. He would have sent you some books over, do a whole giveaway. Mike is a good guy.
I was never formally taught to do. A lot of you, if you're making significant money, you think that your life is squared away once you learn how to make a significant income when you're making 6 figures or more. But what no one tells you is how to manage it properly, and no one teaches you that. No one teaches you how to effectively manage your taxes. And yes, I believe, and I firmly believe, that everybody should pay the legal minimum required amount of their taxes. I'm not above the idea of taking deductions that the government and the law says you're entitled to.
Agreed.
And I think you should be doing that so that that money can then be properly invested, that you're retaining into yourself, your health, your family, and your team, the people that you directly are responsible for in your life. But that's just what I personally believe. None of this is anything I did overnight. This is the benefits of a decade of discipline, and also
you need to get the heck out of this business. Not like get out of this business, but you need to get the heck out of this game. The game of like not being financially free yet. Because of this, it's like a decade. Okay, now it's time to, with this high income. It's kind of like, you know, when winter, you had a long ass winter. Now it's time to take care of like is it the fall? It's like, you know, when you have like the whole like thing that actually happens or whatever. But now it's time to take the fruits of your labor, right? You got all this income now. Lower your expenses, man. Buy a property for $200,000-$300,000, pay it off fast, and be done with this whole game. And then you're able to keep running your business if the income keeps increasing, but you're able to spend money without worrying about it that at all, because you don't have that have expenses. And you gotta have your family, man. You gotta have them people grow up.
Just the amount of value that I've been creating by scaling things. I learned a long time ago that there's no way to trade my time for money and then still become financially secure and stable. And I think the last
That's not true.
year or two.
It depends. Let me say that, right? You can trade your time for money doing something you love, because we all have to do that in some way, because he does that too. Everyone does that. Even Warren Buffett does. He trades his time to be an investor or whatever. But if that's all you do, it's not enough. That's why if you make $40,000 a year, you can still become financially free. But if you don't do it the right way, the right system, it doesn't make any sense. So you have to be able to say, hey, I'm going to invest this money. I'm going to pay this. I'm going to pay that. You have to have a complete system, not just relying, for example, just on hours, and pay.
Has taught everybody that job security is largely a myth. And while not everyone may feel that they are cut out to be an entrepreneur, and I've heard it all before, the creator economy has proven that people can take things they're passionate about and build successful lifestyles around it, or pick up a side hustle that allows them to invest in their future. And with the things that you can do now with investing and the opportunities available to all of us, it is possible that something extraordinary could happen that changes your life because you were in a position to take a little bit of risk without hurting the stability of what you need to do for yourself and your.
I agree. If you have a full-time job and you want to try to monetize something, just like try it on your off time, you know? I don't like that whole Hollywood idea of like when you want to try something, just like quit everything and then just do that fully. Just try it on your off time. Spend 4 hours a day on it and see if it works or if it doesn't work.
Family. Now, I know the question is always, well, like, Roberto, how do you make that kind of money? And I will be doing a video about how I earn my $25,000
Hey, nice follow-up video.
a month, $300,000 a year income. But I can tell you the short version of it is that it is a combination of what I do here on YouTube, what I do with affiliate marketing, a membership website that I own,
I want to learn about that membership website that he owns. I'm taking notes now.
Personal one-on-one coaching business, services that my digital agency provides now, as well as doing brand deals and sponsorships. I also sell my own digital template bundle. It's not an online course. There's
Oh, I heard about this.
Nothing wrong with that. I actually licensed a course to LinkedIn a couple of years ago that still pays me passive income.
Oh, that's awesome.
And now we even have a YouTube channel and a music brand that makes me royalties on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. And that YouTube channel is also about to be monetized.
That's awesome.
So there's just a lot of income streams.
7 streams of income. That's awesome.
That make all of this possible. But again,
that's crazy. 7 streams of income to make $25,000. That's a lot, man, when you think about it, right? It's like little trickles, just like pay off and stuff like that.
At the end of the day, making money only matters if you manage it in a responsible way and you're looking at paying yourself first, building an emergency fund, saving for your retirement, your future, or if anything should happen to your health, and also investing in the people that you care about, as well as just learning
this guy's such a good guy, man. He really cares about his family. That's awesome.
Properly invest for your overall financial future.
But sometimes, you know, there's something called tough love. Sometimes you got to help somebody. So I remember in the Bible, I think it was in the Bible or at church, I heard about this. They were like, sometimes what you want is not what you need. Think about that for a second. Sometimes what you want is not what you need.
Question of the day. What was the most surprising thing about how I spend my income? I'd love to hear
how much money you spend. All right, guys, that is the end of this video. You know, I might have been tough on Roberto, but if I was doing the same thing and then somebody can come to me and tell me what's going on, just like share an opinion. By the way, it's just trying to help somebody. You know what I'm saying? Roberto helped me, and partly was very nice, you know, with his method. But when I was doing YouTube the completely wrong way, he shared with me by the way, not one-on-one, not spoken to him one-on-one, but like through his videos, told me, Tommy, here's how SEO optimization actually works. Here's how your description should work. Here's how your thumbnails should work. Here's the whole process behind it, right? And that helped me a ton. Did I want to hear that? Maybe not, you know, but I appreciate it a ton. Did I want to hear somebody tell me, oh, you're doing things wrong? Nobody wants to hear that. But when you do hear it, it makes you change your perspective. You know, it makes you think about, am I doing things correctly or am I not doing things correctly? And if I'm not, what am I supposed to be doing? You know, that's the whole thing here. So that's the idea. That's what I'm doing here, guys. Overall, I'll see you guys next time. Roberto, great thing here, man. You're doing awesome, man. Congratulations. My main thing is just, you can be done with this whole game a lot sooner than you probably think you can. That's the idea. And sometimes you're helping somebody the way you want to help them, but maybe it's not what they actually need. That's the concept here. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. On top of that, also, if you guys want to talk to me one-on-one, join me on my 3rd channel called the Ask Me Bryson channel, where I take calls from Monday to Friday. The link is down below. Schedule an appointment right now. Follow me on Instagram, Time Bryson. Want to talk to me one-on-one also. On top of that, also, lastly, watch another video right here. Click my face right here. And as always, peace.